look younger than the last time I saw you. So that
Oh, right.
must mean you're getting more sleep.
No, I'm still getting 4.5.
Four and a
We're still
half.
getting 4.5. 6 is luxury. 8 is like, a really, really rare. Like maybe in 3 weekends I can get 1 8 hour. 6 hours is a luxury. 4 hours, 4.5 is what I'm getting because of work. Because the work schedule is at least 12 hours, if not 13. And then, you come home, you basically eat and you sleep and you go back to work.
Right. Right. Yeah. So, because I was going to ask you, well, first of all, most people won't know your personal life. So how many kids do you have?
I have 2 kids now. We just got blessed with a baby girl on
Congrats.
27th.
Oh,
Thank you.
wow.
Yeah.
So ages of both?
My older one she's 6 years old. The
Oh
younger
my
one,
gosh.
she's a month and a half tomorrow.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
amazing. Okay. So yeah, so maybe you aren't sleeping as much as I thought you would be then. Yeah. Those first couple of years are tough. So
yeah. I mean, you have 4 of those. So I'm you are. I mean, you and Kyla, I'm just blown away. Like, you do your thing and you compete and run the business and still take care of the kids. That's amazing, actually. So kudos
yeah.
to both. Yeah.
So what are you guys doing about school then? It starts right away, right? You going into what, kindergarten or grade one or?
You know what? I have a theory behind this. Like, I write for a living. So I thought I'll sit 1 week out and see how this whole thing pans out. And if it doesn't, get blown over, so we'll send her to school.
Yeah.
If something happen, it'll happen the first week because at the end of the first week they say, "Oh, we don't need to go to school," or we should be going to school. So
Yeah.
we'll wait for a week, and we'll see what happens after. But luckily, in her school, they've decreased the class size to half because of social distancing. So some of the kids couldn't even get in. So she was lucky to get in. So I don't want to miss that boat. Yet at the same time, I'm a little, anxious or let's say cautious right now to send her to school.
Yeah. I think that's wise. I think like for us, we're going to homeschool at least the first month. If things are going to go crazy, it's going to be in week 3 and 4 if people do spread an infection, it's going to take, a couple of weeks to actually see any positive results. But the other thing is, I think a lot of them just don't know what they're doing. Like a lot of the school divisions are really not sure how things are going to work out. So I
Right.
think there's a lot of stress for the kids, especially really young kids. They said there's like no toys in classrooms. They're going to be kind of just stuck in one spot, right? So kids are supposed to be stimulated. They're supposed to be learning. They're supposed to be interacting. So I think they can do that a lot at home. And I think your oldest will have a lot of action happening at home with the young one there. So
Yeah.
yeah, if possible, and we're lucky that we can keep our kids home for now. But I can appreciate that some people just can't do it. So
Yeah, true. Because the nature of their work or whatever the reason might be, no daycare, and I
yeah,
get it. So for us too, I'm going to be taking some time off after this shoot is over, week after, and then I'm going to just stay home for a couple of months and see how this whole thing,
yeah, cool,
pans
man.
out. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we'll start with kind of how we know each other. I don't even remember when we
I,
met,
I
but
remember because I was new to Canada back in 2011, and I was looking for employment, and I think I applied to a bunch of places, but I applied to Shapes in August, and I think that's where I met you first.
yeah, I think that'd be it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was the awkward, heavy accent brown kid who just landed here, just got off the boat.
Yeah.
Then I found a friend in you, and you helped me out in a couple of my projects at that time because I was ready to go to be a filmmaker, and I didn't see any outlet that I could plug into or tap into. Then you and Kyla kind of offered yourself for a project of mine. I think which did really well for Amazon, which now is Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and we were in the top 10. So I'm pretty proud of that, and thanks for doing that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I'll probably put a link to something like that in the description so people can have a chuckle. We were actually thinking about that the other day. But basically, for people that don't know, uh, you're a filmmaker, and we entered a contest. It was to make a trailer for a book, and we filmed it at our house, and it was ridiculous. We had volunteers who thought we were gonna like we were serial killers or something. Like,
Yeah.
it was ridiculous because, you know, we were out in the middle of nowhere. We're filming all day. I think it was like from sunrise all the way. We were going till late at night, and we still had to come back and shoot more. And
Yeah.
it was just an experience. And yeah, I don't know. We didn't know each other that well at the time, but yeah, I don't know. It was interesting for sure.
Yeah.
Coming to Canada, was that one of the reasons you're coming here, is because you wanted to pursue film? Because you talked about applying at Shapes, like your background is in fitness. You're educated in physiotherapy. You went to school. You're Mr. Chandigarh in India, so you've won competitions. Are those both equal passions? Is it film? Like, you came to Canada, what was the goal? Like, what are you trying to do?
Okay, so Canada was a settlement plan for me. I wanted to settle in a place that, you know, that has equal opportunity. There's less people, and that's why I came to Winnipeg instead of going to Toronto or Vancouver. I could have gone anywhere. So I didn't want to be in a big city, in a medium-sized city, which offers opportunity and the lifestyle that I'm looking for. So Canada had that. The license to get here was through being a physio, and I got here. Then I wanted to pursue film because it was my passion, right? So when I got here, nobody knew who I was. I didn't know where to go or whatever, right? No? So I tried to talk to people, started meeting people for film, but nothing actually happened. So I was like, you know what? I can I can fall back on being a trainer, because I was a trainer for 10 years and I've been a physio for 6, you know, so I can maybe use that information to get me some money. So that's why I applied. I applied to a bunch of places, but Shapes got me in because they saw, you know, what I had to offer, and they thought this would be beneficial for people. So I would still say that I love both equally. But if I could do something, if there's something that can wake me up 5 in the morning without regret, it's film. So if I had to train a client at 5 in the morning, I don't know. And you know, that was one of the things. I was showing up late for work because I didn't want to do it. I mean, I'd had done it before, and you know, it wasn't moving my gears anymore. So I didn't want to show up to work just because I didn't enjoy it that much. But for film, I do it even now when I'm 40 years old, and you know, and it still stimulates me in a way. And I'm able to now, over the past 9 years, people have, you know, I've got to know people. People know what I do, and they've seen my skill, so they offer me employment based on my skill, and it's easier now than it was 9 years ago when nobody knew who I was. I didn't know where to go, and so on and so forth. You know.
Yeah, no, I get that for sure. You need something to fall back on. You needed to just make money, right? You need to survive.
Yeah.
It took a while, and then you brought your wife here, and you started a family, all that kind of stuff. What kind of projects have you worked on in terms of film? Like, what were the first few things you really had to do in order to get yourself established as a player here in Winnipeg, I guess?
You know, I will, you know, whoever's listening, I'll tell each and every person that if you feel passionate about something and you know you can offer something new or novel or for the masses or something that'll at least affect one person out there, share it with people. I made a small film. I shared with every single production company in the city. So then I started having coffees with people who are making actual feature film. Then they told me, go there, do this, then you can get a job. I started to do that. I started kicking tires in that direction. And then little did I know, by 2013 or 14, I was working film. And that's when I left Shapes and I went to work film. So I basically took what I had to offer to show people what I could do, and then I sent it out without being shy or ashamed or, you know, this is not good enough. I just had to share what I had.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
people
for
like
sure.
it. And, you know, I'm still working with those people to this day.
Yeah, awesome. So we then went on to film something that combined, again, both your passions, right? Fitness and bodybuilding and film.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this thing that we did together, the movement.
Oh, the movement. Yes, yes. You know, and for people who don't know, the movement is a documentary that I made with Dino and a couple of the guys from the city who are bodybuilders, who are natural bodybuilders. And we made it for Bell MTS, which was MTS back then, Bell MTS now. If you have Bell MTS Wi-Fi or cable at home, you can go to On Demand. You won't find it anywhere but in favorites. So people have seen it that much that it's become one of the films that is one of the favorites. So you can find it in favorites. It's called The Movement. So it was about three guys going for one goal, competing against each other, and then their different life journeys and how they take it. And having the toughest of them, because he had a kid at that time, and he was trying to start this business. He was working at a place which he didn't like, and so on and so forth. So he was struggling with a lot, and he had a mortgage to pay, and there was nothing on a silver spoon, and he was. So according to me, in the documentary, you shown out to be the star of the documentary, and most people did, because whoever's struggling with the most, yet they stick it out and they finish it strong. One of those things.
Right. Yeah. No, that was an experience for sure, doing all that. And just to see the work that you had to put in, like I think it took us 2 years to get it done. Right. So,
yes.
Lots of shooting, lots of like coming to my house, let's film this scene, going to the other guy's house, filming that scene, traveling to Brandon for this show, traveling here for that show. You had to apply for a loan to do this? Like how, like MTS paid for this? How did this?
Yes, so when we started shooting, we didn't have no money. So we shot like 6 months into it, and I took it to MTS. I said, what, we are trying to make this. Can you help me out? They said, well, we don't give a lot of cash. We can give you some shoestring and try if we can make this work. I said, well, if this can help me pay the bills while I do this, then I will definitely do it. I was doing other side jobs at that time while they gave me the money to make sure I met, the demand of whatever I was doing at that time in terms of my household requirements. But then we kept shooting, and I kept getting money from them, and then we finished the film, and then I edited it, and then we put it together. We put some music in it, and we have what we have. And while shooting it, we met new people. Like we met the 60-year-old bodybuilder Valentine Payne. So I had to shoot with him.
Right. Yeah.
So while we were shooting this bubble, different bubbles came out of this bubble that I had to cover, just because it'll be a good angle to cover.
Yeah, exactly.
So
stories within a story. So
story within a story. So that's why it became bigger than what it was. But I was like, if I started, I have to finish it. So I did what I had to do, right?
Yeah, and it was great. I watch it from time to time. It's definitely nostalgic to think, one, that we did that, and we accomplished the things that we did accomplish. Not only did we make a film, but we actually did those things in real life. Like we competed and we won competitions, and my daughter was born. My mother passed away. There was a whole bunch of things that happened in there. We started a business. The other guys started businesses. So like a lot of things happen, and I'll always have this like evidence and this thing that I can go back and watch. And it inspires me to think that there's many more things that I can do. Right. So it was an amazing opportunity. Like most people don't get that kind of thing. So it was amazing. And just to learn, like we had to go back and we had to shoot, like we had to dub over voicing, right? I remember, we had to get the narrator like to come in and narrate, and he was amazing. And
it was great. Yeah.
And then a private screening, and so it was great. I wish there was more open distribution of it, but I'll just keep trying to accomplish greater things, and maybe we'll make a sequel. So
absolutely, no. I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make some money off of it just by selling it or putting it somewhere so that I can get money from it somehow. Because I put so much time into it that this has become something bigger in terms of how much time I've put into it.
Yeah.
So, so because I put a lot of labor into it, so I want to get a little bit of, something out of it. If I can, in the next 2 months, I'm going to put it up online, make it free, and let people watch it. Yeah, but, it's an inspiring piece for anybody to watch, because to see how you deal with stuff, and when you decide to go from point A to point B, but then things get thrown in the way, and you just have to jump over them or duck under and just make your way. And that's what you did, So it's
awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. So I guess bodybuilding, let's talk about your bodybuilding, because I always see you talking about wanting to get back into bodybuilding. Obviously film is your passion. It's what you're doing. It's all that's on your mind, but here and there I see little grains of, I'm going to compete again. I want to do it one more time. Is this something you really want to do one more time, or is it?
I do. Yes,
Yeah,
I wanna prove to the world that you can do it naturally. Although I want to clarify, I'm not a lifetime natural. I did try stuff back in 2006 and 2007, and then the way my body reacts to it, I kind of feel depressed, angry. I don't know, maybe the hormones get, whatever changes. So a friend of mine, he was a good friend of mine, his name is Gaurav. He's a coach. He said, you know what, if it's not suiting your body, you shouldn't put stuff into your body.
right,
And
right,
he's an amateur Olympia level competitor right now.
right.
And recently he was talking to me, and you see stuff happening on the internet, like, should I try this? And then he said, you remember what happened in 2006 and 7? You don't want to go back to it. So when I left it, so again, when you take steroids, they make you feel like a horse, and but here's the thing: when you leave them, you go back to being a man, and you don't come to terms with being a man because you feel like you want to be a horse at all times.
Right.
So
Right.
that was a drop for me in 2008 and 9, and I had to deal with it in 2010, 11. But I was like, you know what? If I could try and do this naturally, and then I realized I'm not checking all the boxes. I'm not hydrated all the time. I'm not eating all the meals. I'm not sleeping. I'm not training hard enough. I'm not periodizing enough. I'm not utilizing science to do
Yes,
this.
exactly.
So when I tried to use science, I got my test results done last month or 2 months ago. I was on top of the scale just because of the whole COVID situation. I was able to sleep enough, hydrate enough. I was able to check all the boxes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, training was just at home, but my test was back to the higher high just because I was able to do all that. And
Yes.
that
Yeah.
helped me maintain the muscle mass that I was trying to maintain. And if you are a science professional yourself, you know how steroids are. They come out your body in the 2-3 year period. If after that you gain muscle, staying natural, it's because you did something right. So I did something right knowingly this time, and now I can say I can gain muscle when I want. It'll be a lot of a process. The principle of diminished returns, I understand that.
Yeah.
Yes, I can do it. I know I can do it. I got to put my body under load, under stress, under metabolic or physical stress, then my body will grow.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so now being natural, I enjoy it more because I'm here. I'm not thinking of stuff, from the past or being depressed or being angry at all things.
Yeah. Oh, and I appreciate that. Like we're both around 40. You're a little bit older than me, but I'm coming close. Um, we're older. I would say we're past our prime, I guess.
Yeah.
But you can still be fit. You can still build muscle. You can still have these goals. And I know I'm itching to compete. I want to compete again. This COVID stuff it's frustrating because, we can't be out doing the things we want to do. And, competitions are canceled, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I want to do it again. I want to prove that I can do this at any age. I think I'm the strongest I've ever been at 37. I can squat over 500 pounds. I can deadlift over 600 pounds. Like I can still make progress. It comes with, some sacrifice. I don't train as long. I can't train as often. I need to sleep more. I need to eat better. I
Right.
gain fat a lot easier. So I
Right.
have to, monitor a lot of the variables much more closely. But as long as you're not trying to train like you're 25, I think a lot of things are possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like there's an opportunity there for us to, film a return,
Yes. Yes. And to answer your question, yes, I am competing. Yes, I'm making a documentary about it, and yes, you will be a part of it because there's a thread going backwards into the movement and going forwards into the future. So we
Yeah.
gotta put a beat in it of this timeline of now, from
Yeah.
starting from now to the next 6 months. And I would like to say yes, I'm going to compete. That's why I'm taking time off, starting in September, October, November, just to focus on my health. I will do a show or two, but I wouldn't do a 12-hour shifts. I'll do a smaller show, something that's 3 days, 4 days, to put the food on the table. But yet
Yeah.
at the same time, focus on myself and take care of myself, because I've hurt myself so much in terms of, like, our job is physical,
Mhm.
and what your Fitbit can do or what your Apple iWatch will do, it'll count the steps. So I do on an average 15, 16,000 steps a day. What it doesn't account for the weight you're carrying on your shoulder in your hand. So at the end of the day, when I'm reading my daughter a story at night, I fall sleep while I'm reading a story to her. So
Yeah.
I'm that tired. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's one of those things. So but if I don't do that kind of work, I will be able to focus more on myself.
Yeah, good. Oh, for sure. And I think that goes back to what I was saying is like if we're going to be competitive in this sport, we have to act like we're our age and eat appropriately, sleep appropriately, train appropriately. We
Yeah.
can't be doing the things we see in magazines. I don't even know if magazines exist anymore, but like the things that Olympia athletes are doing, that's not for us. We have to, look at the literature. What can our bodies handle? What can we handle? And go from there.
True.
So you were saying before we started recording here, you really haven't been training that much. How important is it to be active? I know you say you have an active job, but you know the importance of also, lifting weights and stuff. How important is that to you with kids? And is it something that you're trying to pass on to your children?
Yes. I when I say I haven't trained much, I mean like go to the gym.
Yeah.
So I've gone to a gym 35, 40 times in this year, but I do have, small 20-pound kettlebells at home. I have resistance bands. I have a pagoda which has a chin up bar hanging there. So I do train at home as much as I can. I want to do deadlifts that are heavy, but I can't. But I still train to exhaust my muscle.
Yeah.
So again, my training principle is maximum recruitment. So I will do pre-exhaust, or I will do compound, sorry, not compound, giant sets, or I will
Mhm.
do more repetitions, whatever I can to recruit my muscles more, so I can at least maintain my muscle mass
Yeah.
while I'm not in the gym. And especially after a 14-hour day, I come home, I'll do some dive bombers, so I'll give myself, say, 100 dive bombers and 100 crunches. And I'll do that, I'll go to sleep. So I keep myself, or I keep my muscle mass, or I let my brain know, I don't want to lose this muscle mass, maintain it, because I'm still stimulating it using these techniques. Like you would know, uh, if I don't use it, I will lose it. So I use it enough so that I don't lose it.
Yeah. Again, there's a minimum required volume and intensity for maintenance. There's a certain amount needed for growth. Right now, just hitting minimum for maintenance is important, right? So,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean,
Oh, awesome. So, are your kids jumping all over you when you're doing this kind of stuff? Then, and
I,
are they copying
yes,
you?
she wants to sit on my shoulders when I'm doing squats. She wants to lie on my back when I'm doing dive bombers. She wants to hang on. She doesn't want to fall. So that's added resistance, which is great.
Yeah.
So I fatigue easily. So I hit my fatigue, say, for a force rep, 5 or 10. So I have at least time under tension of, I don't know, compound 3, 4 minutes, which is great for a half an hour workout. And I'm able to maintain what I have, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. I know my kids, I haven't competed for quite a few years now, but I still have my kids run around the house flexing and doing poses, and now all three of them are doing push-ups and stuff like that. So yeah, I
That's
think
great.
when we're active as parents and it's important to us, and the other thing is just not stressing about doing it, making it fun,
Yeah.
making it normal, then they just want to do it too, right? So that's very important for the generation coming up, because obesity is, still the number one killer. Even though
Oh,
COVID's on our mind, obesity is still killing, 2/3 of the
yeah.
population. So,
True.
um,
No, I do. And also to add to that, I make it competitive. So let's say I'm doing something. I'll say, hey, Nala, I'm going to do 10. Can you do 11? And she's competitive like that. And she will try her best, even though with bad form, I don't care because there's no weight. So she'll try doing 10 crunches or 10 push-ups. So that attitude is gone into her, and that you see it trickle out in anything that she does. So she said, Dad, I can do this. Can you do this? You want to
yeah,
have a race? I'll run faster than you. So I'm glad I'm able to inculcate that into her. And that's for parents out there listening, what you do is what your kid's going to pick up. If you have Pepsi on the shelf, she's going to sip on it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's gotta be, do as I do, not do as I say. Right. So you can't just tell your kids exercise is important and not do it yourself. So,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
okay. One of the things I did want to talk about is, injury. You've talked about getting hurt. I've been hurt before. You have a background in physio. Injuries are more common as we age. Do you have any maybe tips to prevent injury? Like, should we be stretching more, foam rolling? Kind of what's your thoughts just on a daily routine that's going to help us maybe get a little less injured?
Right. Okay. My personal advice, which I'm gonna shape this up as I say it, because I don't want to sound, uh, giving you hard and fast rules. For me, aligning the body right before a workout is a great idea, which is dynamic stretching. So I warm up my body, do some dynamic stretches. I go through, rolling my arms in the air, or kicking, doing some side kicks or whatever. And then I will walk for, say, a lap, and then I'll do exercise specific warm up. So if I'm going to do squats, I'm going to go under an empty bar, spend some time, get some neurological adaptations for my hips to open up when I'm in the bottom. And sometimes what I would do is, say, after 3 or 4 sets, and I'm trying to do my heaviest set, let's say deadlift, for example. I'll go down there, I'll get up as if I'm about to do deadlift, but I won't lift the bar. So my body is surprised. So I will tell myself this time, but I will miss it. So I'm going to surprise my body a few times so the muscle can fire up. And then the 4th or the 5th time, I'm going to catch the bar and let the brain figure it out how to do this. And by the time, everything is opened up.
Yeah.
So I try to neurologically adapt my brain to a certain movement pattern before I hit it to the max. Static stretching, I've done it. I've got hurt because of it, because for a few minutes to an hour, you're not at your maximal output. When I'm doing giant sets, or I'm doing super sets, or I'm doing something that doesn't require my maximum weight to come out, okay, great, I'm gonna static stretch, who cares? But if I'm gonna try and do a PR, I wouldn't do that, because then I'm risking myself of getting hurt.
Yeah. And I think your words align with the literature that, there is a stretch reflex, and that, if you do some static stretching and then try to exert yourself maximally, you could potentially injure yourself. Right. So, dynamic warm-ups, sports specific, movement specific, it all makes sense. But, coming from an expert like yourself, it definitely does help the audience with choosing what to do.
I appreciate
How important is mindset then? Because I can picture what you look like when you're about to lift. I know what I look like when I'm about to lift something. How important is mindset and ritual and routine when it comes to working out or lifting weights or whatever?
Oh, it's everything. So according to one of my mentors, which is Frank Zane, whom I admire a lot, he said there's 5 things you need for having a great body. There's food, so there's water, recovery, which is sleep, training, and attitude. So if you say, for example, like I said for myself, if I say I'm going to compete and I keep saying that and not do it, then I'm lying to my own self. And I can give myself a number of excuses and say, oh, this happened, that happened, we have a kid, I don't eat, I haven't eaten, I haven't drank, blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, you are what you say you are. And that's the story, right? So mindset for me, and I used to ask this question from my clients. Okay, when are you doing this set? What are you thinking about? The guy's like, oh, I'm gonna go home and have a steak. I have to make this card payment at 10 p.m. and tomorrow I have a doctor's appointment. I said, are you thinking of all this? Then you're not maximally benefiting from what you are doing. Like I give example of Kai Green, which is an extreme, and the guy is clearly whatever he's doing is his choice, but he is big. What he talks about is the mind-muscle connection. And I give his example. I used to do that earlier and do it now. I missed it in the middle sometime. You close your eyes and think of your muscle moving. If you can't imagine that, go to YouTube, watch a 3D example of how a muscle moves. You take that picture, you take that video, close your eyes, give yourself 10 reps if you have to do 10 reps, and count backwards. As you count backwards, close your eyes and feel the muscle contracting and relaxing, or stretching and contracting. So then as it happens, you'll feel the pump is better. You'll feel your muscle more. And that's when you recruit more,
Yeah, that makes sense. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger as well was big on mind-muscle connection. You got to feel the muscle for it to grow. Of course, you're not going to be doing that when you're doing a 1-rep deadlift, but
exactly.
If you're doing curls, if you're doing lat pull downs, for reps, definitely think about contracting the muscle, get in tune with your body. It all boils down to taking control, you're the one that's trying to do that. Don't just mindlessly go through it. And I think we look around the gym, we do see people just mindlessly moving, and they're
Yeah,
wondering why year after year after year, one, they're not changing at all, but the weight on the bar has been the same the whole time, right? So
right, right.
yeah,
And I want to put my finger on something right now. I'm glad you pointed out. I use this term called the external and internal focus. Internal focus, when you want to feel your muscle, is when you're doing supersets for hypertrophy, for endurance, whatever your reason might be when you're doing higher number of reps. When you're doing a PR, when you're doing a heavy lift or doing, a sets of 5 sets of 3 or 5 sets of 5, you need to use external focus. So I give myself a distance, point A, point B. I'm gonna move it, and I'm not gonna feel or see or understand or try to contract anything. I'm just gonna move the way my body will move it. But again, neurological adaptation preparation to begin that. Once I go into it, I'm not going to think of feeling a muscle. I'm just going to lift this weight with my body aligned, and that's it. So I'm using the external focus, I'm going from point A to point B and put it down. That's it.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. So, um, okay, we talked about aging. We talked about resistance training, staying natural, um, film. Okay. What do you think about this whole COVID thing? What's going on right now?
For a few people that I know who've had COVID, again, it depends on on your immune system. Some people reacted with, some respiratory compromise. Some people only got a cold. Um, and you can only develop immunity to it for 1.5 months. I believe, and I know this is going to happen. Everybody's going to get it eventually
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
it goes away.
Yeah.
I don't approve of being going to herd immunity, like they try to talk about it in Sweden, and Sweden went to the whole herd immunity concept. That kind of they kind of blew it on backwards on themselves, because then they had control. They couldn't have control over it.
Yeah.
And for just for the record, it's not a hoax. People who think it's a hoax, go to YouTube and watch COVID-19 patient interview or whatever. You want to just Google something like that. You will see real people tell you, young people tell you how bad this is.
Yeah.
And the repercussions of this will remain in your body after it's gone, because basically the virus, which is like AIDS, is an 11 gene virus. It goes into your body and causes clotting at certain places, and you can't control it. So that's when you have all these problems that are coming. People get COVID toes, or people can get respiratory distress, or people can get something else. So once it's gone, it's not completely gone. So it's like baking a bone and trying to imagine it's going to go back to normal. It won't. It goes 98%, but 2% will still be there. So save yourself by putting on a mask, physical distancing, whatever you have to do. Just do it, because the faster we do it, the sooner we do it, the faster this kind of gets controlled.
Yes.
From the periphery, right?
Yeah, and that's the main issue that I have is people think this is going to go away, that there's a point in time in the near future where it's just going to be over. I think the reality is that we're going to live with it for, quite a long time, probably the next couple of years at minimum. And this is why we need to be able to normalize certain practices, right? Like social distancing is a no-brainer, right? Like for some reason we normalized people getting sick and dying from the flu, and we just got used to it, when all along we could have been staying home if you're sick, washing our hands more frequently, social distancing. In Asia they wear masks. Like, why can't we do that here? And why is there so much backlash? So I'm glad you do have the same mindset on the issue as I do. I think there is a large knowledge gap, and I think that we are obviously more educated, so we have a better understanding of physiology and anatomy and chemistry, and obviously that does help. But it's our job as role models to make sure that we do, kind of spread the information that helps people make the right decisions and the simple decisions, which is we're doing these practices not necessarily just to keep ourselves safe, but the people that we're working with, the people that we're working for, our clients, our parents, like all that kind of stuff. So no, that's great. Yeah, I can definitely appreciate your views on that. So Yeah. So any big projects in the works here? Like you said, you want to take some time off. What are you working on right now?
I want to finish the documentary that I'm going to shoot of, me trying to, okay, I'm glad that I didn't go to the gym as much this year, but I still have the muscle mass that I had at the beginning of the year. Somehow I maintain it. And I told you how I was trying to maintain it.
Yeah.
So I want to see if I can grow from this point 100
Yeah.
days out and see how better I can get from here.
Right.
If I check all the boxes of sleep, hydration, food, training and recovery, right?
Yeah.
Um, if I can do all that, that'll be a point. And then I'm writing a couple of screenplays of full length, long format features and writing for TV as a job on the side.
Oh, right on.
So yeah, I would like to pull back a little bit while my kids are young
Yeah.
and just be a writer or an editor from home so I can be around for them. Because
Yes.
I've noticed when I haven't been around, my daughter reacts in a different way than when I was home because she wants more of my attention.
Yeah. Well, COVID showed us all that. I think a lot of dads specifically and moms that are working realized that when we had to stay home, we were forced to stay home, how much we were missing, right? Like I was missing so much. I worked 12-hour days. I was at work 7 days a week, running the business, trying to get other businesses going. Uh, in my head, I'm doing it for them, but in reality, I'm missing out on the most important parts of their lives, and that shapes who those people are going to be. So I've definitely learned that I need to take at least one complete day off where my phone is, on silent and I'm not coming in to do any work here. And I'm glad that you're doing the same thing, right? You want to work from home, you want to be around because we won't get this time back, right? So
Never. And once they're 18 years old, they'll be autonomous, and they'll be doing their stuff on their own. They'll have their own friend groups, and they say, hey, Dad, I want to move out. And what am I going to say? No, just stay
yeah,
here.
yeah,
Go backwards and be a child again. So that's why I want to be here for the first few years, at least 5, 10, what I can, and get the best of that, and then do what I want to do longer, more, right?
yeah, great. So I'm sure you're a role model to people around here. I know I look up to you because you've accomplished so much yourself. Uh,
Thank you.
do you see yourself as a role model to people back home as well?
You know what I've always said, I'm just a mirror, and I'll always say that I'm just a mirror showing your own reflection. What you see in me is what you are. If you see I can do a certain thing, you are capable of doing that. And I wouldn't say I'm a role model. I wouldn't say in any way, shape, or form that I'm trying to inspire anybody. But if a person who's listening to me can think differently, can think constructively, can change a part of their life that might make them have a little more to themselves, I'll be happy.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
I'm in that box right now, and I always say, if somebody says, "Oh, this is great, you're great," I'm like, "No, I'm not great. I'm just a person. I'm just a mirror showing your own reflection."
Yeah. So if somebody's listening to this and they're struggling and they have goals and they don't know how to achieve them or they can't or they feel like they've gone backwards, what would you say to that person then to get them to, finally take the steps they need to take?
Okay. Um, if you are our age, or say at 20 or 25 too, remember how you were 10 and you wanted to ride a car and you want to drive a car and you couldn't, and you felt bad that time. And when you actually got to the car, you were ready for it. So if you fail in something, that means you were not ready for it that time, but you got to try again. Because people see failure and success as two opposite words, whilst failure is actually a path that leads to success. And you would agree with this, Dino, because how many times did you fail on a 500-pound squat before you actually succeeded on it, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And but the time you tried, your attitude was that I want to do this no matter what, and you told that to yourself. I'm going to do this no matter what. So anybody who's ever failed, who's ashamed of themselves, that I want to share my ideas, but because people will laugh, please don't. I came here, I wasn't ashamed of myself. I had a bad product, but I shared it. Then people liked it, and that opened doors for me because they thought it was good. Because one man's garbage can be another man's food.
Yeah.
So just please share your ideas. Go out there, try to do what you told yourself you would do. If you don't, then you are only deceiving yourself. You're only lying to yourself. You're only going to fail for yourself. So succeed only when you go through failure. If your idea is not working right now, it will work in 6 months, a year. But you got to keep trying, reinvent stuff if you have to.
Right on. Cool, man. I like that. I think we'll end on that. So where can people find your work if they want to check what you've been up to?
Okay, I have two accounts. One is Sodhi Creative, which is for people like studios and other people check. And my personal account is Jack Filmmaker, where I've married the two. Jack being the bodybuilding part of me, filmmaker being the filmmaker part of me. So Jack Filmmaker on Instagram, Jack Filmmaker on Facebook. I am not on Twitter yet, but I want to be. I'm not addicted to Twitter. I want to be. And I want to share my ideas ferociously like people do on Twitter, but I don't yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Jack Filmmaker. Just, if you can find me there. And if you have any question, I try to answer all queries that come through in my messages, in my requests. I try to answer all the questions, and I'm here to tell you it's possible.
Right on, man. Appreciate it. I'm sure a lot of people will check you out, especially if we're going to do this little transformation here in the next couple of months. We'll be sure to follow that and maybe have you back on after it's done to get your thoughts on it. But yeah, appreciate having you on, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, for sure, buddy.